This is the Grow Your Clinic podcast from Clinic Mastery. We help progressive health professionals to lead inspired teams, transform client experiences, and build clinics for good. Now, it's time to grow your clinic.
Welcome back to another episode of the Grow Your Clinic podcast. My name is Jack O'Brien, your host, and thank you again for joining us wherever you might be on the commute, while you're exercising, in lockdown, in the clinic, wherever you might be. We really appreciate you entrusting the next 30 minutes or so of your time with us. And today we have another one of the Clinic Owner Spotlight series. We have Clinic Owner all the way from the United Kingdom, the motherland, Rushabh Savla. Welcome to the podcast today, Rush. How are you?
Oh, man, what a time to be alive. Jack, I'm super grateful, super excited to be on this podcast. You know, this is how I found CM, and I followed CM from my podcast. Yep, and it was one of the earlier podcasts, and from there to be sitting here talking to you, you know, it's incredible. Super humbled.
Hey, you have done the full journey. I love that. That's really cool. I didn't realize. Well, for those who are unfamiliar, Rush is the founder and head honcho, the big boss over at R&D Physio in and around London, 3 locations over there. Physiotherapist, cracking team, making a huge impact all across England and the United Kingdom. Really excited, mate, to get into your clinic owner story from humble beginnings all the way to the massive impact you're having right now. But before we do that, we've got a couple of icebreakers. Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. Number 1, what are you reading or learning right now?
It's the power of now, but I'm actually learning the art of stillness. So just practicing stillness in every moment.
I love that. Ryan Holiday's book, Stillness is the Key. Have you gone there yet?
I've finished it already several times.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so good. I just read, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I'm on a similar thread or theme. Just read a book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Number 2, who inspires you?
My forefathers, so my ancestors. We come from a very humble beginning, small room in India or in Kenya, and now we've moved countries, immigrants got that story. And yeah, it's my forefathers, you know, that resilience, that visionaries, to have that and to walk forward with nothing in your pockets and the world full of dreams.
Amazing, man. And we're going to get into a bit of that family journey as we go along. So that's really cool. Number 3, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
So I've got lots of careers, but I think one of them was definitely a pilot, aerospace engineer, dentist, which I actually ended up starting the journey on, and then realized that I was not about that. My last one before I decided to settle down on the physio career was actually become a wildlife game ranger in the middle of Africa.
Nice. The safari host, right?
That's it.
So good. Finally, mate, what's a motto that you live by?
It's just 3 words: lead by example.
Simple, right?
Yeah, simple, but probably one of the most hardest things to do in this day and age, and still keep going. But I love it. Every minute of it, I'm super grateful for it.
I think as an outsider looking in, you definitely embody that and live out lead by example. So cool, mate. Well, thank you for sharing. So help connect the dots for us. How does the young fella who's been dragged all over the globe, wannabe game park ranger and pilot, end up as nearly a dentist and physio? Like, connect the dots from childhood through to physio for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Kenya, spent sort of a good part of 14 to 15 years out there. And, you know, the outdoors and the life outdoors and sports and playing all sorts of things as a kid, just loved being outdoors. And then, you know, we made a move to decide, funny story, actually, we were meant to come to Australia. So we were meant to immigrate to Australia, to Perth. And luckily that didn't happen, and moved off to the UK at the age of 15 now. Where I started in the UK, you know, it was a key sort of responsibility for my parents to put us through education, and they wanted us to sort of, you know, get educated and go into university and get a good career. So I think dentistry was seen as a safe option, and any Asian listening to this will know the hardships of parents wanting to do either dentistry, medicine, lawyers, or pharmacists. And those are the only 4 titles you're allowed to have.
Sure.
So yeah. So from dentistry, I decided it wasn't for me, and I did want to then decide to move on to something else. I actually snapped my ankle pretty badly traveling the world as a breakdancer, and it was beautiful because I really enjoyed sort of performing on stage. You know, I've been to Norway, places in Europe that I would have dreamed of, just dancing, breakdancing, part of a Bollywood company. And when I snapped my ankle, I realized that being in a wheelchair wasn't fun, and the power of movement. So it was a snapped ankle and then a few surgeries. So I've had 6 surgeries since then. And physio was just a natural thing. It was just the place where I knew I was going to go in and help empower lives. And my experience with physio was actually probably one of the worst things. I was left to fend for myself, figure out things by myself.
Really?
But that inspired me to kind of like make sure that someone else doesn't go through that same journey.
Yeah, wow. Crazy story, man. So Game Park Ranger didn't really fit the family picture, right?
No. I think when I first mentioned that, I think people just looked at me pretty crazy. The pilot thing was even crazier. So yeah, it was amazing. And so coming into London, I spent my time in the NHS, and privately I would work 3 or 4 jobs at a time, putting in the hours, as everyone says. I think at some point I used to stay in central London hotels just to go into the next clinic. So I'll try and find a cheap hotel to kind of like jump onto the next clinic and stuff like that. And it was fun, absolutely fun.
So you did the dance between, private practice and the NHS, which for the uninitiated is the public system across the UK. So what were some of the lessons you learnt from your time in the public system?
I think what I learned was the intentions are there. People want to help people. Whenever we have a system that large and managed by people who don't necessarily understand healthcare or people, there is a big mismatch. And as a patient, you'd really get left on your own. For example, you might see a physio and then it's only a month later will you have your second follow-up. And as a physiotherapist, you will feel burnt out. You will feel disinterested. You will also sort of start questioning the career itself. We know many people who did physio spent some time in the NHS and actually quit their whole profession, which is sad because these were bright minds that could have contributed maybe 5 or 6 years in, but decided to step away. And there's lots of bureaucracy. And I'm super grateful for the NHS, but there's lots of bureaucracy and there's too many tiers if you want to create innovation, if you want to sort of instill innovation. There's a hierarchy that's not fun to work with. And I had to move into private practice because I actually dislocated my shoulders, had a couple of surgeries on them, and was asked by my workplace to not come back in the nicest way.
Oh, really? Right. Yeah. Okay.
Which
is that a Bollywood injury as well?
No, that was actually, I was climbing and I tore the labral, and sort of for those, who are listening in, it's just basically shoulder lining, and just tore it really badly. And lots of adventure races. I don't know if you've heard of like Tough Mudder, Spartan, that sort of thing. Yeah, so I did the other one was on that. So yeah, lots of injuries again, but it was beautiful. It was just, again, great to kind of like go through this as a patient journey and then realize where the experience can be improved.
Sure. So the pun that I used earlier just dawned on me. You did the dance between private and public, and you've straddled across a few of the private clinics working. What inspired you to set up and open your own clinic?
So this is another funny story. One of my best friends and best man at the time, he went for a haircut and he saw a room at the back of the barbers, and he said, we may want that because we may want to start off there as a private practice or just start off as physio clinics. So we set up a business there, and we just literally at the back of a barbershop started off there. And he unfortunately had to leave back to Kenya after 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And that left me in charge of everything. So I was like, whoa, okay. And started my journey effectively from the back of a barbershop. So R&D's humble beginnings. And the way I paid rent, which someone reminded me, was actually I was sweeping the floors of the barber. So whenever there was no work, I would just basically use my time and sweep the floor.
Amazing, man. And I guess that's where the D came from in the R&D. Is that right?
Yeah, but now we like to call it sort of rehab and development, or like whatever it is, like, and we just like the roll of the tongue on it, and it's a bit too late to change as well. And people recognize, you're the R&D boys, and it's like, yeah.
Well, that's it, right? It's a tangent we could go down. Perhaps we won't, but brand is what you make of it. It's really just a couple of letters and a symbol in between, but you've now created that into something that's really widely recognizable amongst your communities, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think, people get too fixated about brand. They're too fixated about the name and getting the logo right and this and that, the other. At the end of the day, the client doesn't care. The client has no affinity to any of that apart from the fact that the value that you deliver, the service that you deliver, the care that you deliver, and how you empower them. And if you can do all of that, you can call yourself whatever it is.
It's true, man. Okay, so we know where it started, humble beginnings in the barbers, through to now. Paint the picture of what R&D looks like now. Location, team, clients, whatever you like.
Yeah, amazing. So where I am sitting right now is a golf club clinic. We have 3 rooms in a fully state-of-the-art gym right next to us. So that's basically our flagship clinic. It's called Trent Park. And then we have another one in a wellness club called Northwood, which is on the other side of London. And we now, super excited to say, we are now on Harley Street. Well, just off Harley Street, Queen Anne Street, but it's in that sort of medical sort of mile, as they call it. So we're in the heart of London.
I know you've got an expat Aussie on the team. What does the team look like now?
Yeah, exactly. So the team is myself, Monica, who's the general or second in command. And then we have everyone who are all on equal playing field with me. So we have Adrian DaCosta, the freshman physio. Some of you might see him on Instagram. And when he came from iMove. So we've loved iMove, always followed iMove. And then the opportunity arose where Adrian was looking to explore Europe and wanted to come and work in London. And I was speaking to Mick, and obviously Mick being a mentor at CEM, sort of gave me the lowdown when Mick came to visit. And I was super excited. I think I hired Adrian before he even knew.
Before he applied. So good.
And then we have the rest of the team. So the rest of the team, we have a cricket physio, a tennis physio, Amar, and then we have a pain specialist who is also a mindset coach. We have lovely massage therapists, and now we have a Pilates reformer teacher as well.
Amazing. And also, I know you've established some favour with a bunch of surgeons and specialists beyond just the physio field. How did that all come about?
Look, I think when people talk to surgeons, they put them on a pedestal, especially physios. We've been conditioned that way. And I think socially and in the medical school, we've always looked at surgeons as being the sort of pinnacle of a medical career or something. I broke that down pretty early in my NHS role. In fact, I got reprimanded pretty badly for that and was disciplined by going straight up to a surgeon and saying, well, actually, you didn't really do a good enough job. My client's not really happy. And, you know, they love that radical candor, and they love the idea that someone else can level the playing field. I'll give you an example. I went to a surgeon yesterday, right? We had a meeting with a surgeon in Kensington yesterday. And he was like, oh, it must be a really hard time for you physios. And, you know, I had to really sort of say to him, no, actually, it's one of the best times as a physio. We're loving what we're doing. And we're talking to him as an equal, respecting him, empowering him, understanding him and understanding his values, and then sort of relating what our vision, our mission, our values are all about. And as soon as you start doing that, you break the boundary between them and us. It's it's no more them and us. It's all of us. And the surgeons that I work with, they're called Total Orthopedics, and they're basically a group of, I think, 7 to 8 surgeons who all work as friends in a business that sees private patients. They're all specialists in different areas. So I know them each individually. I play golf with them, and I just have fun with them. And we just enjoy what we're doing together. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
So good. And I really admire your tenacity to create a level playing field, create relationships that are based on mutual trust and respect. And that's obviously flowed through. I'm sure there's a commercial reality to that for your clinics and referrals. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a joint venture where if they want things to work, they've got to sort of get those referrals through. And then if we want things to work, we've also got to sort of send referrals through. And, you know, we have the work. So we have an MRI scanner, an ultrasound scanner. We have lots of stuff there available at our disposal. But at the end of the day, it's just helping the person in front of us. And if we can do that well and truly, we're winning.
Nice. So to go from the barbershop to now having a bunch of specialty physios, you mentioned golf and mindset and pain specialists and tennis. What are some of the keys to that growth and success of your clinic?
When you're growing a clinic, you have to have a clear plan. But I think before the plan, it's the mission and the vision and the values. And I think where CM came in, and I'm going to talk about how CM has changed my life entirely. Like anyone listening right now, this is going to be that moment where CM has basically been the one single most change I've made in my life as a business owner that's affected me spiritually, that's affected me with my family, with my relationships, with the way I behave and I protrude my mission to the world. But it's basically entirely changed how I effectively execute what I know I'm capable of doing. What it brought was clarity. What it brought was structure. What it brought was the ability for me to express what I want to do on this planet, but do it in a structured, cleared way where we're winning. It was amazing. So when I first started, I think with CM in 2018, I believe August, I spun my wheels for a whole year because I was that practitioner that just kept doing, I think I was doing 120 hours in a week at a time,
Wow.
110 hours of consulting, and then trying to fit in CM somewhere. And that was what it was. I thought, you know what, I'll pay some money, I'll figure it out. I'm sure they'll teach me some of the systems and it'll all be fancy. And I got humbled and it was amazing. You know, my
Wow.
coach at the time and still now, Andrew, really sat me down and got me to figure out what the mission, the vision, the values of the business are. Because it wasn't a quick, rich scheme. It's not about that. This is like farming. I'm plowing the seeds. And 2 years ago, I made a big decision. It's not easy. It's not easy. Speaking to
Sure.
Dan, I signed up on the day because he spoke to me in so much clarity that it was exactly what I needed as a business owner who is almost going to give up.
And I think your story, Rush, will really resonate with a lot of clinic owners, whether it's from those who have really lofty, ambitious goals of changing how healthcare is perceived, through the clinic owner, like you say, that's spinning their wheels and doing 80, 100, 120 hours a week and doesn't know what's next, or that clinic owner that's looking for the pragmatic and the practical systems and scripts and just tell me what I need to do and hold me accountable along the way, right? So, I really appreciate your words in and through that. What are some of the specifics when you reflect on your CM journey? Are there any milestones or landmarks where you go, it was that day that I learned that really changed?
Yes. When AZ and Pete came down to London for a holiday and I managed to grab a beer with them, it was that feeling of talking to someone who deeply cares about what I'm doing, although he's thousands and thousands of miles away. And the fact that we had a beer and shared that beer, and then I realized actually these guys, well, actually they give a crap about what I do. So why don't I take the ownership? And that was perfect because that was what I needed, was that physical presence for them to just tell me that it's okay and it's all right to be where I am, because I'm not going to be there with their help and with my ability to change things. We're not going to be there for too long. And that was when I really figured out. So that was June 2019. And since 2019, June to now, big change. 3 clinics, really pushing numbers. We're seeing, ridiculous amount of patients and ideal clients that we love, clients that become family, clients that sort of are raving fans about what we do.
So they're not just coming looking for their 2 free NHS visits?
It's none of that. In fact, they're coming to us because they've been recommended and then they know about us through social media and stuff. And they've read about the fact that I love golf and I'm about to have a little baby. And some of us are extroverts, some of us are introverts, but some of us love talking about different things on social media. And they're almost clued up and they're ready to have a bit of connection with us. And that's what it is. CM has taught us about how to improve connection, how to improve the experience.
Really, exactly what you're talking about there is you're priming your ideal patients with their experience before even stepping foot in the clinic. So they know what's coming. They know how your style of therapy, they know they're going to get a management plan and you're going to see them through to completion. I'm curious though, when you talk about your journey with CM, our Clinic Mastery team is made up of a bunch of different health professionals, physios, podiatrists, psychologists, OTs, and we're largely based in Australia. So did that variety of health professionals or the Aussie base put you off at all? Or how's that played out for you being based in the UK?
No, not at all. I've always looked at the Aussies as a benchmark, and I've always looked at the Aussie private work and just physios in general as legends, because these guys are the guys who are changing the scene, and we're just, well, some of us are just copying what they're doing. And, I wanted to be like, no, we're here to play as well. And we want to show you that we can do stuff. And also more than that, I think the whole idea that we can't learn from someone who's sitting on the other side of the world is rubbish. We are now in a technology filled environment. We're empowered. I speak to my coach every week. We are like family. Funny enough, he's having a baby 2 weeks after us. So it's amazing. And to see the change happen over the last 2 years has been phenomenal, because I wouldn't have done that had it not been for the family feel that we get at CM. I'm able to be vulnerable. I'm able to be transparent. I'm able to sort of really just, share my fears as a business owner, my anxieties, my worries, and then have someone come to me and say a virtual cuddle and just basically say, hey, mate, it's going to be all right. Let's just crack on. And here's the plan. And the most amazing thing is how this has happened through COVID, through all of the stuff that's happened in the recent months. In fact, my relationship with CM and my relationship with people like yourself has never been better.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned COVID. I want to go there now. Let's talk about resilience and how you guys have not just survived, but thrived through this season. You mentioned that the first 12 months of CM it felt like it was spinning your wheels, but yet there was such a mindset, a spiritual, a personal growth that was kind of work on the inside that didn't manifest like that exponential curve. It was flat, 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 and then took off practically because you did the inner work. What has that meant for you as a leader through COVID? What sort of personal work have you done so that you've been strong through COVID?
It's that life by design. That's what CM has taught me, is having that life by design, but having that resilience to carry on. And if it wasn't for CM, one of the things I keep reflecting back in our journal every day, and, normally I write down 3 or 4 things or 3 or 4 people and on a Wednesday, I'll always have Andrew's name on it and then stroke CM. And this is before we've even had our chat at 6 a.m. Now, the reason why I say that is COVID was one of those things where most physio clinics in the UK basically just shut down. And actually some of them have not even managed to open, and some of them actually have had to sadly close their doors for the foreseeable future. And then everyone was like, oh, what are we going to do? This is going to go crazy. And I think my team they were worried. And we sat them down on a Friday before Monday lockdown. And we said, this is the plan. We've got big mirrors in our gym. And Adrian, Monica, we all sat down with the team and basically said, this is exactly what we're going to do. We created a framework, which was online physio. We had our website guy change up everything. So this planning was happening in the background a month before everything actually happened. So I was speaking to Andrew about this, and he was like, let's get that plan in place. And before lockdown, we already had a framework. So we had nothing to fear. We had nothing to worry about. Monday onwards, we were still seeing patients, but we were seeing patients online. Legends like Joel from Clinico made it even easier to have consults virtually. I just finished an 8 p.m. yesterday with a client that I started in Florida and I started with him in March, and I'm still seeing him.
Right at the peak of COVID.
Right at the peak of COVID. And I'm seeing this client in Florida. I've got Seattle. I've got Wisconsin. I've got some American clients. And again, COVID has enabled me to do that.
So that's interesting, right? You're facing one of the biggest challenges that arguably we might face in our world, at least commercially, in our lifetime. How were you able to see the opportunity through the challenge?
I'll tell you another story. Just really figuring out. I'll just quickly throw there. Oh, and by the way, we had a clinic there, and the lease ran out, and the landlord wouldn't renew the lead, so he just wouldn't renew the lease. And that was challenging because then we had nowhere to work. And with COVID, we didn't know how to operate as a team. We've never done online that effectively. But yeah, going back to your question, we just knew we had to get it done. I cared too deeply about the team. I cared too deeply about the mission to let it fail. I took a pay hit. So did Monica. And we just stepped up to the team and said, this is what we're willing to do. And before we'd even finished that sentence, everyone offered a 50% pay cut straight away.
What team in the world does that, right? And so that meant you were able to survive COVID, which we're still in the thick of, right? But continue to thrive?
Yeah, we were thriving. In the second month, we were doing webinars. We were doing surgeon meetups on virtually. We were seeing patients. We were connecting with online transformation companies who do sort of where you get sort of 12 weeks, 18 weeks, or even sort of a whole year's worth of transformation. You lose weight, but you pick up injury over now and then. And we were made official partners with one of the largest ones in the UK and providing physio for the members. They have a reach of around 3,000 or 4,000 people in the world.
So good.
We were finding opportunities, and there were so many opportunities. Whoever tells me there wasn't an opportunity, they were just obviously looking from a place of fear, a place of anxiety, and that's okay. But CM prepared me for what was about to come. Hey, another pandemic hits or another second wave hits in the UK, which we think is likely. We're excited. We're like, right. If the first opportunity gave us 3 or 4 new clinics, 1 online, 2 in person, and we can create fun, and we have we're enjoying the growth. We're enjoying building that community. We're enjoying, having vulnerability and that sort of transparency with each other and as a business. Mm-hmm. Amazing. That's all of our core values.
And I think when I hear you speak, it's mission and vision and core values it resonates. I can feel it through what you speak, but it's backed up with a pragmatic, practical hustle. Let's get this done. It's not just pie in the sky opportunities. It's tangible. Let's make it happen, right?
Yeah, we have, a weekly P&L that we see as a team. My team are transparent. We're all transparent. So we see numbers, we share numbers, we understand numbers now, which is the biggest achievement I think CM has helped me do is understand my numbers.
Wow.
Because funny enough, I have 2 accountants in the family and they had no hope that I would ever run a business successfully. They looked at me and think, you're never going to run a business. And here we are, 5 years later.
That's amazing. I can just imagine the Christmas and dinner table conversations. So there's a speed in implementation. I know that you and your wife are expecting now, and you're talking about more clinics and second lockdowns. And what is it about deadlines and speed that you've been able to put in place, but yet you balance that with a stillness and a gratitude and a peace? How do you balance that tension?
It's again, this concept of life by design that was introduced to me by Andrew. And it's like, what do you really want out of life? What are your desire statements? Do you really want that? And again, understanding how to work it all. Like, we have this notion that we should only, we should aim for less, less is more. And it is in many ways. But what I realize is that there is no reason why you can't go and achieve goals at the same time of sort of being present. I consider myself very lucky to be surrounded by people like you who I look up to for inspiration. And I look at Ben and I think he's running a family, he's running CM, he's empowering other clinic owners. It's impressive. And if they can do it, I'm sure I can learn from them. And it's having that open mind to sort of learn, to fail, to accept failure, and then to say, right, chin up, let's go. Having that vulnerability with your team is the biggest thing. And I could only learn that when we went away on our retreats. We can only implement things when we take our quarterly retreats. We can only implement things when we do our huddles, our breaks away. And these are all the things that I've learned. And if someone asks me, what's the single most thing CM has taught you? It's culture being everything.
Wow. Mate, there's so many pearls in there. If you were to speak to a clinic owner across the UK somewhere, maybe it's physio, maybe podiatry, maybe osteo, maybe something else, and they're thinking, lockdown's tough, COVID's tough, or I don't know if I can trust Aussies, what would you say to that UK clinic owner?
I found these guys online. I listened to a podcast and I was sold. And I wasn't sold by their accents because, we've got it better. I'm only joking. Look, it's scary to trust someone online on the other side because as British people, we're just never, we're very hesitant to accept change and we're very hesitant to implement things because we've done things for so long in such a different way. And that's okay, but that different way is not working. Guys, we need to wake up. Like, it's crazy to think there are clinic owners out there spinning their wheels, whereas there's someone out there who's willing to help and grow your clinic and grow your mission and grow your vision and grow exactly what you want out of life. And you'd be a fool not to join because it's a family. It's a family that cares. It's someone who cares on the other side. I'll give you an example. We have Barry, who's in Ireland, who's one of the CM families. He had a baby boy. We're so close. We had to send him gifts because I feel like family. I meet him every second Thursday. I chat with him on WhatsApp. Now I have, I'd love to have more UK family members. We've got a few, but yeah, in essence, don't be scared about these guys. These CM is amazing because it's helped us do what we're doing.
Let's see your clinic. What's your Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook?
I know it's COVID, but hey, come down. We'll socially distance and we'll still show you our place. Yeah, so it's R&D Physio. That's on Instagram and on Facebook. And it's the website's www.r-d-physio.co.uk. But coming back to your question, and I know I digressed a little bit, but it's have that confidence knowing that these people care. It's not about taking your money and just sort of running with it. And, yes, it's a bit of overwhelm and that's okay because we're learning from scratch. And these guys will help you unlearn, learn, and then implement and execute.
Sure.
It needs work. It needs patience. It needs a team and a family to look after you. And CM is the family.
Mate, I'm very humbled that you would share as you have, and I would absolutely encourage listeners to check out R&D Physio. And Rush, if they wanted to get in touch with maybe you personally, is there a LinkedIn or an email? What's the best way for people to do that?
Yeah, it's just Rushabh, so it's RUSHABH at r-d-physio.co.uk. You can check me out on LinkedIn with Rushabh Savla. Yeah, reach out. You can DM us on Instagram. You can do whatever the hell you want. Just get in touch. I'll show you the place. I'll show you what CM has done for us. And look, we need UK physio owners to be brave. And the first step is just ask for help.
Love it. Our listeners, we'll make sure we link all of those clinic and personal profiles up over at clinicmastery.com/podcast. As again, very humbled, didn't have to say any of that stuff about CM. I was more interested in your journey, but that's fabulous, and super excited for what does the future have? Of course, you and your beautiful wife are expecting really soon, but What about the clinic? What's in store for you?
Absolutely. So we are in talks with more surgeons. We're in talks with creating a one-stop shop practically in central London, where you'd open a door, you'd see a surgeon, you'd open a door, you see a physio, and it's all in one building. You open a door, there's an MRI. So we're really focusing on that project right now. But the team are amazing. The team are legends. And I just love to give a shout out to them, because without them, nothing is possible.
Mate, very, very exciting. Thank you again for sharing. I can't wait to get over and share a beer once the planes start flying again.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
But in the meantime, at the time of recording, the T20 series starts tonight. Aussies and the Poms in the cricket. Where are they at tonight? They're at Southampton. So
exactly, it's Southampton. It looks a bit rainy though, so let's hope that there's good weather for tomorrow and for today as well.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to chatting whilst the cricket goes along. All the best to you and your wife with little Barb.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing about your clinic.
Appreciate it. Super grateful, man. Thank you so much.
Listeners, thank you for joining us. I hope you got plenty out of that. As always, get in touch, grab those links over at the show notes, clinicmastery.com/podcast. For anything and everything, reach out to us, reach out to Rush. And I cannot wait to bring you another episode of the Grow Your Clinic podcast again really soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Grow Your Clinic podcast. To find out more about past episodes or how we can help you, head to www.clinicmastery.com/podcast. And please remember to rate and review us on your podcast player of choice. See you on the next episode.